Somewhere in the middle of the Indian Ocean, an oil tanker suddenly disappears. Not physically, but digitally. Its tracking signal, gone. Its ownership, unknown. Its insurance, non-existent. And yet, this ship is carrying nearly 2 million barrels of oil, worth over $150 million. It's heading straight toward one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. No flag, no company, no accountability. But it's not alone. Right now, there are hundreds of ships like this moving across the world's oceans. Together, they form something governments rarely talk about: a ghost fleet. A shadow navy quietly moving oil around the planet outside the global financial system. And if that fleet keeps growing, it could change how economic power works worldwide. Imagine a single oil tanker. It was built in 2002, already considered old by industry standards. It once sailed under a respectable shipping company, but today, its ownership chain runs through 5 shell companies registered across 3 tax havens. And tonight, it will perform one of the most important maneuvers in the global shadow economy: a ship-to-ship oil transfer. Out in open waters, far from regulators, where one tanker pumps sanctioned oil into another vessel, and that oil suddenly becomes almost impossible to trace. The cargo will eventually reach refineries in Asia. Payments will move through obscure banks. Paperwork will be rewritten. And the world's most powerful economic weapon, financial sanctions, will simply vanish. This is the story of the ghost fleet economy, and how thousands of invisible ships are quietly rewriting the rules of global power. Sanctions were once considered the ultimate financial weapon. Instead of sending armies, governments could cripple economies with one decision: cut a country off from the global financial system. No banking access, no insurance, no legal shipping, and suddenly, exports collapse. For decades, this strategy worked. But then something unexpected happened. Countries under sanctions didn't stop selling oil. They engineered a workaround. After sanctions intensified on countries like Iran, Venezuela, and later Russia, oil traders began quietly assembling a different kind of fleet. Older ships, often near the end of their official lifespan. Ships that major insurers refused to cover. Ships that could disappear from digital tracking systems. These vessels became the backbone of a parallel maritime network, a ghost fleet. Today, analysts estimate there are over 600 to 800 tankers operating in this shadow system, and that number keeps accelerating. Factora Insight. Some estimates suggest the ghost fleet now transports over 10% of globally traded oil. That means a significant portion of the world's energy economy now operates outside traditional financial enforcement. But building the fleet was only the beginning, because moving oil secretly is one thing, getting paid for it is another. And that leads directly to the next mystery. Where does the money actually go? Oil is not just energy, it's one of the most financialized commodities in history. Traditionally, oil trade relies on a huge infrastructure: banks, insurance firms, shipping registries, commodity exchanges. Sanctions attack this infrastructure. But the ghost fleet created a workaround. The system works through layers of financial camouflage. First, ownership. Many ghost fleet ships are technically owned by small shell companies registered in jurisdictions with limited transparency. These companies may exist only on paper. Second, insurance. Instead of global insurance giants in London, some Ghost Fleet ships use smaller regional insurers or operate without coverage entirely, which dramatically increases risk. Third, payment systems. Instead of US dollar transactions flowing through Western banks, many trades now occur through local currencies, barter arrangements, regional banking networks. Some deals are even structured through commodity swaps: oil traded for food, oil traded for infrastructure projects. Factora Insight. A growing share of sanctioned oil is now sold through discounted pricing structures, sometimes $20 to $30 below global market prices. This creates huge incentives for buyers willing to ignore sanctions. But money is only part of the equation, because every time a Ghost Fleet tanker moves through a narrow sea lane, it creates tension. Not just economic tension, but geopolitical friction. The world's oceans are filled with choke points, narrow passages where massive volumes of global trade must pass. The Strait of Hormuz, the Bosporus, the Malacca Strait. These waterways carry millions of barrels of oil every day. Now imagine hundreds of aging tankers, many without proper insurance, moving through these routes, carrying volatile cargo, often with unclear safety oversight. It's a scenario that deeply worries maritime regulators, because a single accident could trigger a massive environmental disaster. But enforcement is difficult. Stopping these ships requires intercepting vessels in international waters, which risks escalating geopolitical conflicts. Factora Insight. Some Ghost Fleet ships are over 20 years old, well beyond the typical operational age for modern tankers. Older ships dramatically increase the probability of mechanical failure. Meanwhile, the countries benefiting from this system see it differently. For them, the Ghost Fleet represents economic survival, a way to bypass financial pressure imposed by powerful economies. In other words, sanctions created the very system designed to evade them. And the longer the system operates, the more sophisticated it becomes. Which raises an unsettling question. What happens if the Ghost Fleet evolves further? Right now, the Ghost Fleet is mostly a maritime phenomenon, but the real shift may happen in finance. Some countries are experimenting with alternative payment systems designed to operate outside Western banking networks. Digital currencies, regional clearing systems, energy trading agreements denominated in non-dollar currencies. Each of these developments reduces the power of traditional financial enforcement. At the same time, satellite monitoring and AI analytics are making it easier to track suspicious shipping activity. So the future may become a technological arms race. Tracking systems evolve, evasion systems evolve faster, and the invisible economy grows more sophisticated. Factora Insight. If current trends continue, analysts believe the Ghost Fleet could double in size within the next decade. Not because sanctions are failing, but because the market keeps adapting. Which leads to a bigger realization. Sanctions were designed for a world where economic networks were centralized, but the modern world is becoming something entirely different. So, on the surface, global trade still looks orderly. Oil flows through regulated markets, ships follow clear rules, financial systems enforce compliance. But beneath that surface, another system is emerging, a shadow network of ships, payments, and trade routes operating beyond traditional oversight. The Ghost Fleet is not just a loophole, it's a signal that economic power is no longer absolute, that global systems can fragment, and that whenever rules dominate the market, someone will eventually engineer a way around them. The real question isn't whether the Ghost Fleet exists. It clearly does. The real question is, What happens if the shadow economy keeps expanding? If more countries and industries begin operating outside traditional financial control, who actually holds economic power? Governments, markets, or the networks that quietly connect them? And as the next shift in global power unfolds, one thing becomes clear. Understanding these hidden systems may be the most important advantage anyone can have. To follow the stories behind money, power, and history, make sure you're part of the flow. Subscribe to FactoraFlow.